Yes, good morning, Tansel. We really appreciate your time here. All right, let's start with the first questions. If you could please tell us briefly about yourself and your background.
Yeah. Do you want me to look in the camera or you?
Okay,
I'll probably
okay, you can
I'll
look
probably
at
look at you.
yeah, look at me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All
that's
right.
right.
So briefly tell us about what did you say? I've got a bad memory, as you know. You can cut that bit out.
No, no worries.
So a bit about the history and what I do, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if you want the longer version,
Oh, yes, yes.
basically started in IT. So I did my undergrad IT degree. We're all working at the Auditor General's office and thought, this is really boring. IT, I'm not getting much out of it. I'm forgetting a lot of things, and I was being bullied as well by my manager. I didn't even know that anyway. So I went into other jobs in IT, and I realised that it's something I've always wanted to do as a child, but my brain wasn't working the way work should be done in structured linear format, how people wanted to. I had so many ideas, but it was just didn't fit into how people wanted to do things. So, and that continued on for a very long time. And then I realized my brain started working differently. So I started training people on personal development learning, and I learned this myself as well as I went along, read books, did courses, and I found out, wow, there's a whole great learning potential out there, for not just for me but for other people. So I started my own business training people for the past 11, 12 years, and that slowly moved on to soft skills, personal development, and eventually memory. So for the past 11 years I've just been helping people to apply their memory skills to learn faster, to remember things, to be pretty much the best at what they can be, so reduce stress at work, make more money, things like that. So memory is bigger than just remembering, and that's what I've been focusing on, and try and help society, I guess, be what they can be.
I see. Wow. Right. So could you tell us about, obviously, yeah, we know why you're doing it, because you get a lot of satisfaction, like helping people to find a better solution to their problems. Yeah, so yeah,
It's not
thanks
so
for-
much the satisfaction, it's more frustration, because things like learning quickly hasn't even been taught at schools, things like speed reading or memory. I mean, speed reading used to be taught years ago, back in the 60s or something, but now they've, no one even knows about it. Many people just don't know anything about memory at all. They just think people are gifted. I'm not gifted at all. I can forget anything without using techniques. So same applies for everyone else. So if they learn these strategies, they can do amazing things.
I see. Right. So what are some of the plans that you have for the next 5 years?
Yeah, next 5 years is looking at more sort of social entrepreneurship using my memory business. So it's about how to benefit communities using this strategy. So for example, I've just finished a 1-year program to develop a learning framework for people to learn Chinese using the memory models. So once I get that rolled out, hopefully it starts benefiting people as well. I've also got initiatives to help the homeless as well, give them strategies for not just memory but learning quicker, so they can develop their skills, hopefully end up getting better jobs and all these sort of things as well, and get them out of the streets.
Wow.
So there's so many initiatives that I'm actually looking at to benefit the society, working with young people to develop their entrepreneurial skills or business skills, or helping them write books or get into the media. So there's a lot of those areas that I'm actually looking at for my business. Personally, I've sort of done what I wanted to do. It's more about other people now, because I know that I suddenly help myself. Well, that's good. Now I can focus on other people. So that's my goal in the next 5 years, is to not so much make me famous. I don't want to be famous. I want the message to be famous. So that's what I'm looking at now.
Wow.
So that's my goal for the next 5 years.
Wow. So can you briefly tell us how you're going to go about doing that?
It's a long work in progress, but look, it's all about planning and strategy and all that sort of stuff. If I don't develop a strategy, then I'll just be doing operational stuff. So doing day to day. Okay, this is my job, and then 5 years will pass, and well, what have I done? I've just done it every day rather than thinking and analysing how we should be using these skills. So my job, I guess, is to develop this strategy and a plan as to how we're going to go about in this 5 years to work on these initiatives. who am I going to partner with? I can't obviously do it alone. So working with amazing like-minded people as well to get some initiatives done.
Wow.
At the same time, look at the whole life in general. How am I going to raise my family? All this sort of stuff as well.
Yes.
So kind of have to look at the bigger picture. So that's what I'll be doing. How does everything fit in the scheme of things?
Wow. I see.
Yeah, I just want to ask one question in reference to what you have just said. Previously, you say like memory techniques or speed reading is not taught in school, right, at this stage. So, so how's the response from school-going kids in this area towards, is there any courses developed for them, or do they show interest or demand in this area on the memory techniques in Australia?
Yeah, good question. In Australia, not really. To be honest, a lot of the people in Australia are more conservative.
Yeah.
That means they value education, but not as highly as other countries. Let's say Malaysia or China or certain parts of Europe. So I guess it's about building that excitement in Australia, and the only way to do it is to really get out there in the media and say, all right, not just a memory champion, but you can do this in half the time or whatever, and get people motivated to learn quicker. And once they start getting motivated, then they can say, oh wow, I didn't realize there was this in relation to memory, or I can get a better career if I do this, rather than just not even trying. So yeah, it's all about exposure at the end of the day. I mean, I could do so many things, but if it's not out there, if people don't know about it, then I'm not really benefiting anyone, even myself. So
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, but yeah, in sharp contrast, like this memory techniques in this area is in huge demand in countries like in Malaysia, in the Asian part. I mean, like, as you just mentioned, because like most of our parents will relate good memory. The most direct form of reward will be better grades. So a lot of them attend courses, outside school, to enhance their memory techniques. So I'm just out of curiosity, I just want to compare what sort of a response in here and in the Asian market.
Yeah, huge difference. Like I said, there are students here that do that, but it's very little.
All right, it's not like in the mainstream stuff like
it's not. Even when people think of memory skills, like no, that's not. That's how I started. I didn't believe it. See, that's because of the Aussie culture, right? I was too conservative. I was a skeptic until a friend showed me how it worked, and that's how I got into it. And now my job is to bust these myths and show people how it's done. So I often do a lot of free talks and seminars and show people this is how it is. And when they achieve an amazing memory themselves, just in a short period of time, they go, wow, didn't realize this is possible. So then they go about setting what they can do.
Especially if you show them the direct relationship between enhanced memory and achieving whatever they want to achieve, whether in career, in business, in education.
Yeah, especially in those areas, because then if you've got a better memory, then you can start thinking a lot faster and better. You get more creative. You can solve problems better. There's so many areas.
Well, I mean, like personally, I think even in your personal life as well, if you've got a better memory technique, you will live more efficiently.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mention this, because in my book I talk about linking and association, which is the key to remembering. Right? You think of personal life, relationships, how to keep it together is to link and associate, connect together. And how do you connect together? You do social things, you go out, you visit people, you do a lot of stuff together, or you enjoy company together, or do certain things with people. So it's about this connection that helps you to remember. So it's the same thing in social life as well. How could you connect things together?
Yeah. And I like the idea of what you're doing, with your football club. Using your memory techniques to help the player, play better games.
Yeah, well, it's all about training the brain. So there's what we do in the memory competitions is memorize really, really quickly. And some people say, well, what's the need for doing that? Why'd you memorize the yellow pages? It's useless. Well, when I think of it, I've been training my brain to memorize a lot faster. But what that means is to come up with quick associations, so I can come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ideas all at once. Now imagine applying something like that to entrepreneurship, or problem solving, or medicine or something like that. Instead of having 1 or 2 ideas, you've got 10 ideas now. So something like that is highly valuable.
Exactly.
Would you equate this memory technique is similar like the body going to the gym, but this is the brain going to the gym?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like it's quite ironic over here. People over in this Australian market, people highly value a healthy body. They go to the gym, but they don't see this as a brain going to the gym.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I mean, that's why I've labelled one of my workshops as memory gymnasium, because they come in, they exercise their brain. It's like going to the gym. If you don't go to the gym, or if you don't exercise in general, you don't get, you don't feel that
The
well.
lift.
And whereas if you're doing your brain and your body together, wow, that's quite amazing. So the mind is like the muscle. You just got to keep training it.
Exactly.
If you don't train it, you can still sort of go backwards for a little bit.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's actually a lot easier and it's less painless. Less
Yes,
pain.
that's
So,
right, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. So can you also tell, I mean, in line with that, your work with the football club, what football club is that, and what kind of techniques did you apply?
Yeah, I'll sort of just laid down the proposal for them. I had a couple of sessions with them, but the whole idea is to train players' brains to think a lot faster on the field, because on the field when they start playing,
Yes.
players, it's usually they play on instinct rather than sort of memory. But so when you train your brain a lot quicker, sometimes you can just get all these pulses and creativity in there as well. So when you're doing that and something's on the impulse, you might get, instead of going there, I might go there instead. So it trains their whole brain, left and right sides, everything like that. So that's the idea sort of put forward to them, and now it's preset, so I'll go back there later on in the year and see how we can sort of apply this for a longer term, because what you want is results longer term, and see how it's going rather than measuring in short-term bursts.
I see. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Good.
Yes. Thank you. Right. Okay. Now the next question is we'd like to know who are some of your major influences in your life, in what you're achieving today. What are some of the people that you like to mention? Yeah.
Look, it has to be my parents
Yes.
and my grandparents, because my grandparents came to Australia from Greece. Yeah, and they were early 30s, 33, 34, and they had no money, nothing, and they just came working in the factories, and now they've been successful business people and raised amazing children, my parents as well. So there's always been that really good work ethic that they brought in.
Yes.
And my grandfather, I could say he was sort of an entrepreneur, because he knew where business was heading, and he knew the future, and he knew, I mean, imagine not knowing anything about any country, being told there were snakes in Australia, don't go, haven't been out of your own country, and taking that brave step forward to go somewhere where you've never been and to be successful. I mean, that's just amazing story in itself. So just his, not just my grandfather, but my parents' work endeavour, and just ability to just keep going, and persistence is very, very successful model as well, which I try and give to my kids as well, is to just keep going
Yes.
and make mistakes, because that's how you're going to learn as well, by making those mistakes.
Yes. Yeah. On that note, two of us, we have kids less than 2 years old, one son each. And we would like to be, a good father, right? Good enough for them. So I understand that you are father of 3 children.
Yes.
Yes. So can you give us some advice on that?
Oh, okay. I'm still sort of new. Well, look, it depends on obviously each individual parent. But what I try and do is, be that role model myself. So whatever I try and do, I try and do well, so they could see me doing it. So displaying manners, or instead of telling them, look, do this, do that, do it yourself, and that way they see you.
Yes.
So you're in the car, you sneeze, excuse me, whatever, all that, and they sort of copy you. So I want to try and do that, and I've been doing it with my son. He's gone a bit older now, 5, and my little 2-year-old now is copying him. So she's getting good habits, and hopefully when they get older and older, they start copying you. But when they get older and start thinking for themselves, that's when you can sort of say what you've been doing for a number of years, this is why and the reason, so they could start understanding what the reason behind you. Because with my parents, they never really talked to me in that way. They weren't really open, they just did what they, but now I can analyze them. It makes sense to not just be that role model, but explain and talk to them and communicate why you're doing this and why not, and the mistakes that you've made, because if they understand it quicker, then they can start being more successful quicker. So that's the thing that I've taken out of it, if I need to give any advice.
Oh yeah, that's very practical advice. Yeah, I mean like do the role model, do the things that you say rather than just do the things that you preach.
Yeah,
basically.
instead of saying, look, pack the dishes away, and you're sitting down.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we've done it many times, but just doing it, even, I mean, it's like customer service. Instead of just meeting the customer demand, you want to try and exceed it, because that's what people remember.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my goal as well, is to just try and exceed every time. You want to be a good parent, you have to try and exceed, because that's what they'll remember. And I've changed my whole work around to be with my kids and family, and that's why I've gone into my own business, so I can spend a lot more time and all that sort of. And it's great because I can drop them off at school in the mornings and then pick them up as well, and I still get a lot of my work done, which is great. So it's just spending that time. And when you spend that time, it's spending quality time, which is most important. So what is quality time? Being a good role model, or doing something productive together, instead of saying, hey, you go watch TV.
Yeah, and I remember someone saying, actually, time is wealth. You got time, that means you are wealthy in a way, right? I mean, you got the time to, you can decide what you want to do and what you don't want to do. You can control the time. Well, that is wealth.
Yeah, time is, you really recognize how important it is when you do have kids.
Yes.
How amazing time is. So it's like, of course you can't make every single moment count.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the big picture, the big direction is like you have the control over the time on how you're going to spend it, right?
Yeah, and we're still young, so it's about making those mistakes and learning from the mistakes as well. It's not going to be make one mistake and learn straight away. It might be 5, 6, 10 times. We're only human.
Yes.
So it's about finding out and working with people as well, because if you're just doing it yourself, then that's why it's good having support and family and friends, because that all makes you even more amazing person, because you see all the successes they have and trying to emulate and learn from, and so
right.
it's good.
Right. Okay, good.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for that. Right. So the next question is, what is your advice for young people who wants to be an entrepreneur, who fancy becoming an entrepreneur? Obviously, it's not all smooth, journey, a lot of challenges. But for people who see that, there's more future in being an entrepreneur, being a boss of your own, right? What is your advice for them?
Yeah, look, being an entrepreneur is very difficult, or it can be, because what you're essentially saying is you're taking that extra step to do your own thing. And in this society where it tells us you have to go to uni, you have to do this, you have to get a job, it's sort of going against that in a way.
Yes.
Look, you can still not go against it and be an entrepreneur within, but it's sort of saying, okay, you have to be brave to take that step. So you need to be brave first thing.
Yeah, because we are not trained to be an entrepreneur. Because like what you say, in school, we always taught to follow a structure. You go to uni, then you find a good company to work with, and then you comply with all these regulations and all that. But going entrepreneurship is a little bit going off that direction.
It is. It's like leadership. You can't really be taught leadership. You have to sort of go through the experience. So same thing with entrepreneurship. I went through a lot in my 11 years, and making mistakes and doing a lot of free work and time, and working 3 jobs and still doing this as well. Wow. So there was a lot that I've actually gone through, but I'm happier now that I've done that, because I've learned what works, what doesn't. But you also need time to be an entrepreneur as well, and time to work on yourself, because entrepreneurship isn't about just doing A, B, C, D. It's about yourself and working on yourself. If you develop yourself, and that's what I've been doing for the past 11 years, is how can I help myself? If you can help yourself, then who said it? If you work on yourself, you don't have to work a day in your life. Or it was that Jim Rohn or someone. So amazing quote. So work on yourself, be brave, and be prepared to make mistakes. Because I was reading an article just today saying entrepreneurs are successful because they make less mistakes than everyone else. But because they make more mistakes, but they're more successful because they've had more chances than anyone else.
I see.
So it's about just going and just applying yourself, because a lot of people have ideas but they don't do anything. And it's not just about having ideas, it's not just about doing as well, it's got to be some sort of a benefit in between, whether it's social entrepreneurship or making a profit, right? So, you know, there's so many areas to it, but, you know, I just say to people, just go ahead and enjoy what you do as well, because if you're doing it and you're not enjoying it, then you know, it's hard. But I think most people will get into that area because they enjoy something, right? That's what they make of it.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for your advice.
Yeah. Another thing is, how do you see the social media as a tool for an entrepreneur? Like just yesterday, I had some conversation with some students in Monash College. I just asked them how many of them have their own blogs, or how familiar are they with social media. Maybe 2 or 3 of them had their own blogs. So what is your view on that? Should they start as early as possible, or how can they utilize this thing? Because some of them might just want to work in the finance sector, but my sort of suggestion to them is whatever you do, it's good that you have your own, create a brand for yourself, right? So that you have more control. If you were to start your own business, this could be your clientele base. Whatever you're passionate about can be your business in one way or another. Because in this climate, we can just lose our job easily. You know, we being teachers, our livelihood very much depends on how strong, you know, the Australian dollar is against, say, the renminbi. You know, if we have more students, we have more classes. So it's that fragile. And I'm beginning to turn to social media as a way to, you know, to secure more control over my future. So could you share with us your view on this?
Yeah, sure. Social media, as we know, is huge, now a lot bigger than it was, and I guess the benefit of that is you've got the whole world at your feet now, so it's an avenue for the whole world to recognise you, not just in Australia or any other certain parts, but the whole world. So what does that mean? It means there's a whole lot of people now doing the same thing, so you have to get yourself out there or known. So how do you get yourself known? So that sort of another question comes up. So it's developing a brand, like you said. So social media has many forms, but it's all about understanding why you need social media. I think that's more important, saying why social media. A lot of companies, they go through social media, but they sometimes do damage to their brand. Because they think, social media is good, we should definitely get on it. They do all their blogs and Facebook and whatever, and suddenly it backfires. Why? Because they haven't understood why, the reason behind it. So once people understand why they need social media, then it's about, okay, what's going to work for me as well. So there needs to be a strategy behind any social media. That's why you have a lot of social media gurus and these sort of people that set strategies, social media strategies and whatnot. So it's about understanding and planning, and once you do that, then you can go out and start building your brand properly, rather than just getting out there, because like I said, it's a whole media, it's like a whole ocean. You're just putting a little drop in the ocean.
And also I think that has to, I mean, I totally agree with a lot of planning and strategizing, and plus a lot of realistic expectations. What do you think? I mean, like once you've done that, the realistic. I mean, of course, the whole world is your on your feet. But like what you said again, that means that the whole world could be the potential of doing it. So setting the plans plus realistic expectations.
Oh, definitely. When I, for example, one of my failed social media experiments was paying for Facebook advertising, right? And I had over 10,000 likes on my page. I thought, this is great, but nothing was happening. I think, okay, this is really interesting. It's better to get organic sort of people, organic traffic rather than paid traffic, because you get more real interest and stuff. So it shows you how, okay, maybe my strategy should be towards developing content rather than purchasing, or little things like that. Some things you can purchase and it does really well.
I see.
Others, it's about doing something else. So it's about learning what works, what strategy, and then applying that.
Right.
And then you can move that forward. So
I see.
Yeah, good example. Good example.
hopefully it has been.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, very helpful. Yeah, thank you. So, okay, maybe this is the last question. Australia right now, we're facing a lot of big challenges. I mean, redundancy, downsizing, and all those things. So, do you have any advice for businesses as well as for individuals? What's the survival strategy?
Yeah, look, this one's an easy because this is what I do for a job. But I tell them to start developing themselves as people and investing in learning, because that's usually the first thing that goes in Australia is training and development. Once there's budget problems, it should be the opposite. Once you start developing yourselves, then you've got the brain capacity to think and start making more money, or start utilizing business in better ways. And it's this forward-thinking strategy that's not really being developed here in Australia. So for organisations or people wanting to do that, is to just work on themselves and start realising the potential that could be there. I started working, I coach a lot of business people and individuals, and once they start learning how to do things themselves, they go, wow, I've just saved myself this much money, or saved the organisation these many weeks in this project because of these skills. That's quite invaluable if you add that up as monetary, in project terms. Wow, that's quite amazing. So it's about working to develop themselves, and as a coach, I'm quite proud to be doing that and helping people in that area.
I see.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
How's the corporate training culture in Australia? Is it like they value it a lot? What's their attitude towards corporate training in general?
Yeah, in terms of what I offer, it's still in its infancy because people don't know how things are being used. So if they say memory, I don't need to remember things, but I need to save time here. Well, they're linked, they're connected together, but people don't see why. Well, I need to present a lot better without notes. Yeah, they can see that because it's something memorable.
Isn't that very obvious? Like you've got a good memory, therefore you save a lot of time.
It is, but in some organisation it's not. It's more sort of tunnel vision. But presenting, for example, it's obvious that if you use memory techniques to remember, you'll deliver a speech, because a lot of people are afraid of speaking in public.
Yeah.
But one thing that I don't understand is that you'll communicate better with memory techniques, because now you're suddenly knowing what is a better method of telling a story to people, or what is a better method of engaging an audience.
Yeah.
And that's another benefit of memory. Instead of saying, I'm going to remember how to present, now you're saying, I'm going to now engage with an audience, which is the whole reason of public speaking or teaching or learning.
Exactly.
Is how do I communicate the message effectively? That's what it's about. It's not just about remembering your presentation.
Yeah.
That's nothing. You can read it off and still give something engaging, right? It's all about the communication. And that's what memory is all about, is developing yourself, and then other things will follow that people will never be able to see.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
So true.
Yes.
That's right.
Yep. So thank you so much.
Cool.
I appreciate
Thanks
your
for
time.
having me.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.